Hello and welcome to IC Technologies YouTube channel, a course that can change the course of your life. In this video tutorial, we will be seeing about JavaScript. So for that, go to your desktop, create a folder called Understanding JavaScript, and within the folder, create a file called index.html. I will be using Bluefish editor to type in the code, and I will be using Firefox for my web browser. So I have splitted the screen. On my left hand side I have my Bluefish editor so that I can type my code into that, and on the right hand side I have my internet browser, right? So I have just opened my file in the internet browser. Now coming to our coding part. So how to type a JavaScript? First we need to understand what a JavaScript is, right? So if whenever a user, a client wants to see a website, he will be using his computer, right, with his browser, right, and then the information will be sent to server, and the server will be passing HTML and CSS files to your computer. And in any case, if he wants anything to happen within the page, right, once again the computer sends the information to server, right, with the data, and then the server checks it and then sends back whether the data is right or not, or it has been inserted or not. Okay, so it will send back to the computer. So what happens is, for a single operation we get 1, 2, 3, almost like 3 to 4 operations used to happen, right? So instead of the same, we could have a structure along with it called JavaScript. If we add JavaScript into it, right, so the computer will analyze the data within at this point itself, and then so what happens is, our time on this, the data passed to server and from server to computer, this time is reduced, which will reduce the requirement for bandwidth and then the memory processing of the server. So example is, if you want to validate a form, example, if you want to validate a form, right, say your username should be only alphanumeric characters, right? If only if it is only alphanumeric characters, then only your form should be accepted, your username should be accepted. So in this case, in case 1, what happens is, if somebody enters his username with non-alphanumeric characters, it will go to the server with the data of your username, and then it will analyze that, and then it will say, the server will say, no, there is some non-alphanumeric characters, and then it will come to this computer. If you are using a JavaScript along with this server, and if you write a program to check whether this is the username contains a non-alphanumeric characters, then at this point itself your data is being analyzed by your browser itself, and then the data that is passed to the server is being stopped, right? Once if the validation is over, if the validation is correct, then only the data is passed, right? So we will be seeing those examples and then you can understand, but just for your information, this is right now. So how do we refer a JavaScript into a HTML? We refer it with document, right? So anything you want to refer within this document, you need to mention with document dot, and then you can write it as get element. So there are a lot of additional inbuilt functions within it. So we will see one by one. So if you want to write anything in this document, you just give us document dot write, right? So always use a IDE like Adobe Dreamweaver or the Eclipse or Bluefish editor, so that it will be useful for you. You don't want to remember the commands every time. Just if you type the first letter, it will give you the full syntax, right? So if you just go here and then write welcome welcome to JavaScript tutorial. Right, so if you just go here and then refresh it, you'll have this, welcome to JavaScript tutorial. Right, so I just comment it. Alright, and here you need to always end with a semicolon. If you don't end with a semicolon, then your command will not be processed. Right, and let me show you an example. Alright, see, it's not working. Right, so if we consider, if it is not, because there is no more commands below that, so it's working. So if you write some other command over here, right, variable a equals hello, right, in this case it should not. I don't know from where it's coming. Alright, let's not waste time on this semicolon, but remember, always a JavaScript file should end up with a semicolon. If not, it will not work. Right, just we will see those things in the coming tutorials. Right, so and the JavaScript is case sensitive. Right, so for example, if variable a equals, JavaScript is case sensitive, let's say JavaScript is case sensitive, right, and then if we say document dot write, and if we say a, okay, so we just click it, so it says JavaScript is case sensitive. If I change it to capital A, it won't work. See, because JavaScript is case sensitive. If I just change it to capital A, it will work. JavaScript is case sensitive. Right, so and this is the third point which you need to remember, always you need to end up with a semicolon. Right, just let me check about it whether it works or not. I remove the case sensitive, was not supposed to work, I don't know, might be it's a, this is the first time working on it. Right, now coming to data types, there are four data types you need to remember. One is a strings, number, boolean and array. Right, these are the data types. I just copy these things. Okay, anyways, let it be here. So these are the four data types: strings, number, boolean and array. Right, so let's see one by one. So what are the strings? How to specify a string? To specify a string, you need to use double quotation. Right, you need to use double quotation to specify a string. Right, so you can say where string 1 equals, so where stands for a variable, right, and say this is string 1, right. So document dot write, if you say it's it should be string 1. You just type it string 1, you will have your, sorry, I just made it in a string, so it's coming like this. I just put here a break so you will know what it in a separate line. See, this is a string, right? So now coming to number, so number is always a, it might be an integer or it might be an float. So what's the integer, what's the float? When you end up with a decimal place, it's called as a float, and if you end up with a number without a decimal, it's called as integer. So let's make variable int tg integer equals 10, right? Variable float number equals 10.58, something that ends with the 5 is known to be a float number, right? So if you want to write this document, you need to write document dot write integer, right? And then if you want to display the float number, right? So these are the basics. You need to know what is the difference between a integer and a float number, right? So it's 10, this one from this 10, then 10.58, right? And we'll see some things later. And so just I want you to introduce the integer and float number, what are the difference, right? And then we come to boolean. So what is a boolean? Boolean is an operation where it says whether your output is true or false. Say for example, we have a number, okay, number 1 which is equal to 10, right? So if you don't mind, I will just comment these lines. So we have things straightforward with us, right? And variable number 2 equals 15, right? So if we consider check, okay, we will have it as variable check equals boolean of number 1 greater than number 2, right? So document dot write, just write check, right? Now if we just refresh it here, we need to have it as a false. I just show, okay, I just comment this also, right? So we have it only false because 10 is not greater than 15. If we have less than, right, so you need to get the answer as true because 10 is less than 15, right? So this will be useful when you are going to check or compare any values. This is some boolean operation. An array you can specify. Array, what's an array? Array is a collection of data under a one variable, right? So variable my array equals, there are different types how you can specify the arrays, right? So this is one type, new array, right? Just type it over there and say this is, let's say this is a array of cars, right? So what are the brands we have? We have BMW, we have Audi, and then we have Toyota, right? Fine. So if you want to display it, document dot write of cars, right? So this will display the array values, right? So what is an array? Array is a collection of different values, right? So this is a value, but here we have given two references, but here we got only one references, but we got multiple set of values into one variable, right? And what is next is the next type. How you can specify is, I would just copy, sorry, I'll just copy this. So instead of typing it again, I could just give a square bracket to them, right? Just give a square bracket, right? Okay, so if I just specify it, where am I? Here I made something wrong. Okay, new array, I want to specify new array. Okay, see, my values are printed, right? So this is another type how you can specify an array. And the another method you can specify your array is as JSON value, right? So you will start with the flower bracket, right? And then you will specify like first name as Alexander, right? And last name as Jean, comma, age equals, okay, don't want to have it as equals, just take it as 34, right? So if you just run this, I make any mistake, okay. So how do you take this out? There is another method, we will see into it later. Okay, I think I didn't make any mistake over there. I need to use for loop to get it out, so that will be another thing, right? So just remember this is another way of writing your arrays, right? And now let's come to difference between inner HTML and write. So this is a little bit very important, because inner HTML will specify you directly to a place where you want to write your code. Say for example, we have a paragraph, okay, and then we have this is a tutorial of, right? And then we don't specify anything over here, right? So just say id equals para, right? And then we'll say on click, we say my function, okay, insert para, I'll just say insert para, okay. So I am going to insert something over here. So what I'll do is I will write a function over here, function insert para. So if you are not aware about function, no problem, just I want to show you what is inner HTML, right? Insert para, just open it, right? So I'll just write over something over here, document dot get element by id. So what's the id is para, so this is the para, right? This is the id, so id, okay. I'll just add things into it, so just write equal to, just type javascript, right? So to add a string you need to add plus, which we will be seeing in the next on the following tutorial, right? So just look into it. What's okay, we got the idea now, sorry, we got the ID, and then now we need to type inner HTML, right? So if you see here, if I go and click it, you see this is a tutorial of JavaScript, right? So if I just write document dot write, it will be totally on a different structure. Say document dot write, if I say java sorry JavaScript, right? See, it comes over here, right? But the moment I click it, it adds within this line, alright? So that's what we call it as inner HTML. I just delete it, right? So this will be the function, or else you can have this here, it's a body onload, those things you can have it. I'll comment this line, right? So if you are, I'll be uploading this document, so if you want to refer, you can refer these things, right? Just a second. Okay, now concatenation of the string. So what's the concatenation of the string? You will be having two set of strings, and then you will be adding those two strings in a single page. Say for example, variable string is welcome, right? And then variable user equals Alexander, right? So if you want to add these two, you just write it as document dot write, okay, string plus user, right? So just go here and then refresh it, you got it, welcome Alexander, right? So we don't have a space over here, so what we do is, and NBSP, non breaking space character, just give it, so it will take it as a HTML file, and then if you just hit, yeah, we got a space, right? So if you just give a plus before it, you will end up with additional concatenation of these two strings, right? So just comment it, and then now coming to changing the data type. Say for example, variable number equals a number 10, right? And then variable number 2 equals, say this is 15, right? So this is number 1. So in any case, if you want to add, so variable total equals number 1 plus number 2. So if you say document dot write as total, if you are asking to write what's the total, so what happens is you will be getting an answer of 10, 110, 15, because these two are considered as strings, and then both are added and then taken as a string, right? But if you want to change it to a number, you just need to add parse integer %, right? And then here also parse int, right? Right. So what happens is, now we will be having the answer 10 plus 15 25, right? So if in any other example, if we have a float number over here, say 10.58 058 15.058, right? So in this case also, because we have taken only integer, we will have only integer number, that is without a decimal point. If you want a decimal point, then you need to type parse float, right? So here float. Remember, you need to give the right syntax. So if you just refresh it, you get with the dots, right? After the decimal places you used to get, right? So and number is the same, right? It is equal to a string, sorry, it's equal to parse integer, and string is, you can convert a string into a, sorry, a number into a string, and you can see just like 10, let's say for example we will have it as 10, right? No, not with that, just take 10. Now we are making a note like it's a 10, it's a number, right? So we just make it as string string of number 1, and then string of number 2. Then if we just give it as, so it will not consider as a number, it will consider as a string, right? If I remove the string, I will be having a total value of 25. Got it? So remember to use parse int and parse float. Most of the time we will be using that for our purpose. So just see, right? So understanding boolean is whether your output is true or false. This thing you need to check, as I told before, right? We have two numbers, variable number 1 and number 2, and then you can have a check whether if number 1 is greater than or less than 15, then you can assign a variable along with it. Say for example check, okay, check equals boolean of number 1 greater than number 2. So it will give you a document dot write or check. So it will give you an answer whether it is true or false. If number 1 is less than number 2, then it will give you answer as true, because number 1 is less than number 2, right? Right. Now coming to logical operator. So before logical operator, we will look into some conditional statements, then we will go to logical operators, right? So the line was totally confused, right? So first we shall have a if else statement, right? And then we will have some switch statement, right? So what we will do is we will copy this program again, right? Comment it, and then we will copy this program, right? So instead of writing it like this, what we will do is, if number, okay, we will say control reset, just keep that thing, right? If check, which means if check is true, right? If this is true, then write in the document dot write number 1 is less than number 2. So this is a document, and else just copy it, and then I'll say number 2 is greater than number 2 is number 1 is greater than number 2, right? Okay. So if we refresh it, number 1 is less than number 2. So if we have another number over here, it is 19, right? So we will have number 1 is greater than number 2. So what happens if we got another number, another value over here? Now that will be a problem. We won't be able to check it with the boolean function, right? So what we will do is we will remove this boolean over here, right? We will have different else if statements, right? So we'll have boolean, so number 1 is less than number 2, right? So it will say number 1 is less than number 2 if it is true. Else if we'll write another if statement, and then we check if number 2 is greater than, okay, if these two conditions fail, automatically what we can consider is both numbers are equal. Okay, so document dot write both numbers are equal. All right, so we'll check whether things are okay. It's working. If I have both conditions, both numbers are the same, both numbers are equal. So this is if else if statement, right? So whenever you are going for a if, then you need to use for a else if statement, right? Now the next is the switch case. I just comment it, right? Okay, now the switch case, coming to the switch case, right? Yeah, so we have a car, my car equals Chevrolet, right? So if instead of writing so much amount of codes, we use, instead of using multiple else ifs, we use a case called switch, right? So a switch is a multiple layer of else if statement, right? So there are syntax for it. So we used to type switch my car, right? And then we start a flower bracket over here, and then we will say case, say BMW, then we say to write document dot write your car is BMW, right? And after that you need to break the statement so that it comes out of the loop. So similarly we can have multiple statements, right? If we have, this is just an example, this is not a practical example, right? And then Chevrolet, right? And then we have Toyota, right? So we'll have it here also, Chevrolet, and then Toyota, right? So along with this we'll also have a case called default. Okay, so default will be document dot write your car does not match with our records. Okay, and then break, right? So if you just refresh it, I think something wrong, somewhere I made a mistake. ROLET, just a second. Alright, sorry, it's just a small syntax error. I need to make it with a bracket here, right? So if I just and refresh the page, it will get my car is Chevrolet, right? So if I just make my car as BMW, right? So it will say your car is BMW. If I mention anything that is not within this switch case, it will say Toyota, right? So Toyota is there, so it have Tata, right? In this case you should have your car does not match with our record. So this is a switch case, right? And the next is while and do while. So while is for, it's not actually, while do while is actually a looping statement, and I think I forgot to add a looping statement, right? So we will do, it's a looping statement along with the conditional, right? So for example, you can say like var count equals 10, right? So while x, so we will say count equal to 1, right? So I'll say x, sorry, count is less than or equal to 10, let's say document dot write so just say count, right? And then we need to increase the counter, so we'll say count equals count plus 1, count plus 1. So what happens is the count is considered as 1, and if it will check whether it is less than or equal to 10, or if it is not less than or equal to 10, it will come down and then it will write the count number, and then it will increase the count to 2, and then it will go back and then it will check, right? So if we say 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, right? I just add a break over here so you could understand about it. Break, right? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 10, right? So this is a while statement. If it will check whether it need to run this loop, and then it will run this loop. Say for example, if it is 11, it will not run this loop. See, right? So what happens if we have a do while, right? So this is the while statement. First it will check whether it is there, and then it will finish it up, right? So if I say for example do, right, so it will run this one first, whatever it may be, right? First it will do and then it will check. So this is the difference between a do while and a while. First it will check the condition and then it will run the statement. If you are using do while, it will first run the statement and then check the condition, right? That's the difference between these two. So I'll just control C over here, right? So it should be along with this. I'm just commenting it, right? Next is the logical operator and or not, right? So this is used to check two or more conditions at one stage, right? So for AND use double AND symbol, right? And for OR you use pipe symbol, right? So the pipe symbol is above the punctuation mark, right? And for not you use exclamation mark, sorry, shift 1, right? So let's say some example, variable number, so you will say string equals Alexander, sorry, right, and variable string equals Jean, right? So we'll write the if condition over here. If, sorry, we just make it as two strings, string 1 and string 2, right? If string 1 is equal to Alexander, right, and string 2 is equal to Jean, then I'm telling you to introduce my name, document dot write as string 1 plus sorry, it's small, string 2, okay? And here I am just typing my middle name, Jesus, right? So if you just come here and then refresh it, you got it, Alexander Jesus Jean. Else document dot write name does not match, right? So complete it with a semicolon and then say and change my name over here, okay? So just I changed my name here, so it will come name does not match. So we are confirming whether this string 1 and string 2 are of same value, right, in a single condition, right? So these are the logical operators. If I say it's OR, right, then if any of the criteria is met, then this will work out, right? Just give, see, because my criteria for Alexander is working, that's why I am getting this one, right? And the same is for not also. If string 1 is not equal to, if you just make is not equal to, sorry, string 1 is not equal to Alexander, or string 2 is equal to Jean, right? If both conditions are met, then this command will be executed, right? So just refresh it. Yeah, because this command is executed, because this here we have got this condition, right? You were supposed not to work, right? Yeah, because string 2 is not equal to Gene, it was not supposed to work, right? So if I just give Gene, sorry, I didn't save that file, right? Now it should work. Okay, right? Okay, just saving it, right? Okay, fine. So the next is looping. You need to understand what is looping, right? So we use one measure for looping, which we call it as for loop, right? So we'll say for count equals 0, right? Count less than or equal to 10, that's the maximum value, or you could say less than, you can have less than or equal to 10, and then count. So count equal to count plus plus, we will just make it as, so instead of having count equal to count plus 1, we can have it as count plus plus, right? We just mention it variable count, right? We just say here, and then just say document dot write. Okay, so we'll say just count, and then we just add a break to it. All right, final input. Just refresh it. We got 1 to 10, starting from 0 to 10, right? If you are just making it less than 10, we will have end up with 9. All right, so this is a looping function. Where this looping function will work out is with the arrays, mostly with the arrays. Say for example, variable my car equals, say this is an array, new array, right? So we'll have my car as Chevrolet, and then BMW, say we have Toyota, right? Okay, so what we'll have is till count less than my car dot length, right? So the length is, the count will be less than my car dot length. Okay, so you can have here as my car of count, which means my car of 0, my car of 1, my car of 2. So the arrays will always start with 0, 1 and 2. So just refresh it. Yeah, we got Chevrolet, BMW and Toyota, right? So the length is 1, 2, 3, so it will go up, sorry, 0, 1, 2, right? No, so the length will be 3, 1, 2, 3, there are 3 elements, so we'll have the length as 3, right? So 0 to 2 it will run, right? If you are making it as, okay, that's fine. If you are aware about till this thing, you are fine, right? So I'll just comment it, right? So next will be understanding continue and break. So for example, we have a count of 10, we'll have variable count which is equal to say 10. Okay, so we are running a loop where variable count equals 0, right? Count count less than 10, right? Or will have less than or equal to 10. So instead of specifying 2 times, I'll just remove this, right? So I just mention here it's a variable equal to 10 and count plus plus, right? Fine. So what we are trying to say here is trying to write the document over here, so we will get the value, right? Okay, so if I run this, what I will be getting is 1 to 10, right? So what I am just here, if I want to break it, I would say if count is equal to 5, then break. If I say to break it, the loop will be stopping when it is equal to 5 and the count value is equal to 5, right? So count value 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 until 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So total we got 5 values over here, right? And continue is if you want to skip this value, right? If you want to skip this, then you can say continue. Say for example, if you are checking a modulo of 2, right? Okay, what's modulo of 2 is percentage 2, which means count modulo of 2 means the number should be divisible by 2. So we will start with 1, right? So we will say continue, right? So we just run this, we get only 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So because we have given here as continue, so anything that is below this if will not work, right? Hope I am clear on both break and continue. Just go with some examples so you can know more about it. And to say more about us, we also take online classes based on that. If you have any clarification or if you are looking for some online classes, we are there. Just give a call to us or drop us an email, so we'll be in touch with you. Thank you.